All right, Fuego. So we've been in this zombie-apocalypse for about 10 years now.
Hallelujah, we've
Can't
made it
believe
so
we've made it
far.
this far, but I swear it seems like just yesterday that this whole thing began. How are you
Yeah.
dealing with it?
I'm actually feeling good. Adept, limber, stretched and ready to go. But I have to say, do you remember what rule number one is?
Cardio.
But what about commandment number one?
Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird,
And you got Jaime and Fuego here.
here to review Zombieland Double Tap. A little bit early, you guys.
Two times.
This movie comes out this Friday or Thursday, as movies come out nowadays.
Yeah.
So you can go and catch it in just a couple of days' time. But we wanted to put our review up because we love to do that every time we see a movie early. And this has been a long time coming, a full decade coming, as a matter of fact.
Indeed, and I was just listening to one of the writers who used to live here in Arizona. As a matter of fact, he's a diehard Suns fan of all things, and him and Jesse
Poor guy.
Eisenberg were, yeah, I know, him and Jesse Eisenberg were on the local sports show for whatever reason earlier today, just talking about the success of the writing team, moving on to do the two Deadpool films, and then just the, blow up of Emma Stone specifically, also from Arizona originally, which is where we were based. And so, yeah, they had a lot of moving pieces to try to get in the proper alignment for this film to eventually happen. And Eisenberg, he's still okay. But, same with Breslin, same with Woody Harrelson. But they got them all back together. Same director in Fleischer, same writing team, our four leads, and even a couple scene-stealing new people as well. So this, while it wasn't terrific, it was a lot better than I was worried that it was going to be. That's what I will kind of start off with.
Okay,
So,
yep. So as usual, we'll start with our overall opinions, then we'll go through the story, the acting, the effects, all of that good stuff in turn. And my overall thoughts are, this movie was very, 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 very shallow. There was no plot discernible outside of traveling for one particular reason. And so it is not a deep movie. However, it is a funny movie.
Yes.
I will say it did feel more front-loaded with laughs than in the back half, because the back half they started to deal with, sort of the more dramatic stuff and all that, and the laughs were there in the back half, but just not as prevalent as in the first half. Like, there were laughs upon laughs upon laughs numerous times in that first half of the movie. So I did enjoy it, but not because it was a really good movie, just because it was a really funny movie, I will say.
Okay.
So, let's talk about the story, Fuego. Go ahead.
Yeah. If I'm just gonna briefly say story, 3-act structure, the middle is where you have the most fun in this film, because of the fact that first portion, first act, whatever. I almost felt like they were trying to get the juices going and get the chemistry like where it needed to be. I didn't think the laughs hit as well in the first maybe 20-30 minutes as they did in the middle of the film. And that's where, we kind of had some of the new characters coming into play. Their amusing dynamic that actually did to drive the laughs in a lot of ways and whatnot. But yeah, so it is 10 years later, and we still have our four all named by the places that they came from. Peeps all hanging out. They finally make it to the White House. Although I was surprised at the lack of Twinkie jokes in this. I think there's like something in the background, but nonetheless, they make it there, and we have a lot more Elvis jokes, and we have all kinds of I don't know, governmental jokes and little bits here and there about, the history of the states and everything. But we also get a very amusing opening from Eisenberg as far as voiceover goes, which sets the tone, as you said, off camera before we started things. And, new characters come into play. Alliances are questioned without really going into too much spoiler stuff. And it's like everybody wants things to be a little bit different, or they want to see what's out there in the world, and if there's something better than the family of sorts that they have. And it's all about them deciding whether that is indeed the case with these new people that they meet, or if they still, love and care enough about each other as this proverbial family to, try to make things work out. And that's really, the zombies are secondary. There's a plot about evolved zombies, and it's okay. It's just a set for a more formidable foe, and really not much beyond that. So
Yeah, the story for me was very kind of basic. As I said, it was puddle deep. And, it was what it needed to be for a movie that was so much more relying on the comedy than the drama or the horror of the zombies. There's even less of the horror than there was in the first movie.
that was
Like
very
this,
apparent.
This
yeah.
honestly felt like And forgive the comparison.
Well, I'm curious where you're going.
But this felt like the Happy Death Day to you, to your Happy Death Day.
Yeah, they pulled back the horror aspect. There's still some cool kills, and when they do come in the fight sequences, there's a few kind of slick ones with some nasty and, you know, little like gore bits and whatnot. But as a whole, it was more so about the comedic interplay between our ensemble of stuff as opposed to you know, what is actually, oh my goodness, there are cats fighting,
cat
like,
fights
serious,
going on in the
serious
background.
cat fight. Yeah, but it was more so about that sort of like it was less comedy based on the scenarios of like terror and more so just on I don't know, relationship stuff to a degree, and, you know, friendships and, you know, kind of like big brother bullying to a degree. And I mean, we saw all of these things in the previous film with the exception of one dynamic with a new character who really steals the show, and I guess we'll get to her once we, you know, proceed to
We
the
will,
acting
yeah.
and
I have a
whatnot,
few
but
more things to say about story.
Totally. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was not great, but it was entertaining enough. And as far as the actual writing of the story goes, it felt to me like the characters they were discovering things about each other that I would have figured they would have discovered within the first 6 months of being together,
as opposed to
10 years later. That's what felt really, really off to me. Mm-hmm. They were all like, it felt like, yes, it like I heard someone as we were walking out saying, God, it felt like no time had passed, and I was like, yeah, that's a problem when you're trying to set it 10 years later. It did feel like no time had passed. Did they ever say at any
particular time that it was 10 years later?
Yeah.
Though? That is.
Yeah, well, he said it's been years now.
Yeah.
He didn't say how many years, but he did say it's been years now. Yeah. Even years. This would have all come out within the first year.
Oh, yeah.
Basically,
absolutely.
all of this stuff.
Absolutely.
So they're dealing with drama that they would have dealt with a long, long, long time ago. It feels like a direct sequel, but it feels like a sequel that takes place, you know, 4 months later.
Yeah, although
not
she's
10 years later.
Although Breslin's character is only supposed to be having turned like 18 shortly into the.
Yeah, because she was supposed to be 11 in the first movie.
Okay, so so still, yeah, that's a decent chunk. Even if they're not implying it's been a full 10 years, that's still a big chunk of time. And check your brain in at the door, like our character Madison. We'll get to at some particular point.
Yeah, so the story was not. Don't go to this movie for the story, because the story isn't really there. No one even really has an arc in this.
Tiniest little
There's a tiny no, but that arc is an arc that happens at the beginning of the movie. It only gets completed at the end of the movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Tallahassee, and also a little bit with our.
The main squeezes,
ones.
Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's not
they all
much
have
of an
little
arc.
mini
Not
arcs,
even,
but
not even Tallahassee has like the Twinkie arc that he had in the first one.
True.
You know what I mean? So there's a lack of substance in this movie.
They're all kind of trying to find love in this.
There's not a lack of laughs.
Yeah.
But it's like. It's not the same kind of laughs that you get from a scary movie, but it's only that deep of a movie. You know what I mean? So let's get into the acting. And
well, I mean, something that just came to me real quick before we jump over. This, writing-wise, thankfully, guys, this is not the Zoolander 2 or the Dumb and Dumber 2 of these sort of sequels, in my estimation. Some may disagree with me about this. It's kind of more along the lines of the Anchorman 2, where you're just so happy to be back with these characters that you love so much. Even if it's not as good as the original one, it still has enough moments that are really golden and funny and solid, and a couple fun, violent, little bits here and there as well. Not as prevalent.
The slow motion opening was really fun.
It was really amusing,
and
especially with the song selection. That
and you said the Jesse Eisenberg voiceover sets the tone. I think the Columbia Pictures logo sets the tone.
Oh man. Yeah, the beginning of the film.
Yeah, we can't say why, but the Columbia Pictures logo sets the tone for this movie.
It's pretty
great. It happened, like, it scared me when it happened, because the logo is in the middle of it.
I
did, and it happens, and I was like, ah! And I was like, what the... And I watched it play out, and I was like, that's hilarious. That truly does set a tone. And when it's immediately followed by Eisenberg's script at the very, very beginning, where it's essentially he's a flight attendant, it's so hilarious. So hilarious. But, I trust me, I didn't give anything away by saying that. That was cryptic enough where you'll still enjoy it.
Yeah.
But nonetheless... are we good to segue into the acting?
You're good to segue into the acting.
So yes, the core four, as I like to call us, the core four, were all really strong. But I gotta say, And this character, I was worried was gonna grate on me the entire movie,
especially
from the trailer.
trailers.
Right.
Ugh.
So Madison, the girl, the blonde that's all in pink in the trailers, that's just a ditz, she steals almost every scene that she's in.
She does.
But you have to buy in to her performance.
Just like she did. I mean,
she
damn.
was 100. Like, if there was an equivalent, she went full blonde, as opposed to full R word. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She went full blonde.
R word.
I'm being careful.
Yes.
Even though my mom ran a school for special needs for 25 years, it doesn't matter. I still
know
won't
what
use
we're
that.
applying here.
Yes, you never go full blank from Tropic Thunder, but
crazy like a fox.
But this woman went full blonde and
100%.
full Valley Girl, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, every time she was like, I'm Madison. Like, she always, every time she introduces herself, it was a little... She was so funny and so good.
She
in
probably
her
generated
role.
the largest quotient of laughs in this
100%.
film.
You were laughing a lot, and you laughed at a joke
laughed
that
at
no one else
and I laughed
no one else
both
in the
times.
theater
I
laughed at it
so hard,
and it was a song reference, right?
Twice.
It was a song reference, and Fuego literally the first time he went ha ha ha, and he was the only one in the whole theater. He literally he caught himself. He was like, oh, I'm sorry.
I was embarrassed at how hard I laughed at this because it's such. We can say shit. It is such a shit song that I heard on VH1 over and over in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And, Babylon. Like, jeez, dude. There's a few really, really funny bits. I mean,
there's a couple of obscure jokes.
Yeah, Anchorman had Chicken of the Cave. This movie has a couple scenes that are on par with me. Just, I hadn't laughed that good, but there's a lot of
like
jokes
whale's vagina level whimsy in this, like where you're in San Diego.
And there's a fair share that fall flat and aren't that inspired. And,
there are,
but
there's so many more that are good.
And the stuff you see in the trailer with the mirroring Luke Wilson and Thomas Middleditch. It's a
that
pretty...
kind of falls flat.
Did it?
The stuff that is in the trailer falls flat because you're used to it.
Yeah.
But when they carried it on through the thing, Thomas Middleditch, of course, nails it. I love that guy. He's one of my favorite comedic actors right now. Him and Kumail Nanjiani, both from Silicon Valley, both complete guys to watch in the comedy world right now, dude.
Yes, indeed.
So funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, even the sub acting, and I say sub acting by co-stars and stuff like that. Luke Wilson did a fun job.
Berkeley was funny.
Berkeley was funny. Yeah, the dude that has the weed in the trailer.
Super douchey.
And his introduction is so, and like, oh my god, his singing is the worst. But his relationship to Tallahassee, like when Tallahassee first hears about him, it's so funny.
It's especially
so
amazing.
Funny.
And
that's the thing. This movie has so many laughs. It almost doesn't matter the shortcomings that it has.
Exactly, and that's where I just went in and I laughed and enjoyed myself, even if I wasn't. It's not going to have the freshness of the film 10 years ago, which was just kind of ahead of its time to a degree.
The very first line refers to that.
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah, it talks about the fact that it's kind of a crowded genre at this point.
Yeah, indeed it is, and still is. And I mean, God, Walking Dead universe. Watch our reaction to that, guys.
Yeah,
anyway.
But so any other acting standouts, or you want to hit on anyone there?
To hit on anyone, Rose McGowan, obviously, because it's not
Rosario
Dawson. God, it's probably because I'm still thinking like Marilyn Manson was when Jawbreaker was made, but nonetheless, a complete fun performance from her. She's not in a ton of the film, but I mean, she looks fairly ageless and still very beautiful, and she's got an awesome holster. She's got a fun dynamic and obsession in common with Tallahassee, which is cool. And I like their little dynamic. I thought that
she's got one hell of a driveway, that one.
Yeah. And when the two of them are looking back and forth at each other, they're like, I don't think they're actually talking about the driveway.
No, I'm pretty sure they're not.
Nobody told me to pull out of this driveway when I got there. It's a funny movie,
it is so funny.
But
it's super shallow.
It's kiddie pool. It is.
It's kiddie pool. The multiple kinds of zombies are fun. They do the rules. The rules appear on screen in random ways all throughout the film.
We have commandments.
That's great.
As well.
And there's commandments as well. But it's more of the same. But it does feel legitimately like this movie should have just been made in 2010. Straight up. They should have just gone back to the well, done this then. It would have made way more sense because they were trying to do it 10 years later, but it truly felt like it was still right after because they didn't feel like they had gone through anything with each other at that point, really, since.
And also because 3 of the 4 cast members look more or less exactly
the same. Yeah, Abigail Breslin's the only one that's changed.
She has boobs now. I mean, that's it. So
she's you know.
I mean, she's grown up now.
She's got the Chloe Grace Moretz syndrome, where she's still a bit round faced.
Yeah, she
hasn't really kind of slendered herself out just yet.
Well, they're both like shorter little girls too.
Well, but Chloe Grace Moretz has started to shift. When she was Hit Girl and stuff, you could see the angles were starting to come in. But Abigail looks like she's stuck a little bit. She was great in Maggie, though, right? She was in Maggie with
Schwarzenegger, yeah. And I'm thinking of
another zombie movie.
One of the greatest trailer reactions we ever did.
Thanks to
Marsha Parker.
Yeah. All right, so that's enough on the acting. Let's talk about the effects. Lots of CG effects, and I will say the zombies were good, but they weren't like standout or anything like that. There wasn't as cool a zombie moment in this. Okay, let me take that back. There's a fun that whole scene leading up to it is kind of interesting, different, even for a zombie movie, and Tallahassee's expression kind of told that tale. But there wasn't a clown zombie moment like there was in the first one.
We still get references to the clown.
Still get references to the clown thing, but it really just felt like it felt like a series of script contrivances. As opposed to a full-fledged storyline, in my opinion.
True. So like beats as opposed to a cohesive narrative.
Yeah, beats. Like this has to happen in order to get us back here. This has to happen for this person to have to come back, and this and that, and this and that. And it's like, it just felt like a series of contrivances versus an overall plot. Again, it's a hilarious movie. Yeah. It's a funny movie, but it's not necessarily a good movie.
It's less a zombie movie in a lot of ways than the previous one was.
Well, that's why I made the Happy Death Day to You. Yeah. Again, if anyone that didn't understand that comparison, Happy Death Day 1 was a slasher-focused movie that had comedic elements. Happy Death Day to You became a full-fledged comedy with some slasher elements
and sci-fi added.
And this was the first one was a zombie movie with a ton of comedy elements. This was a comedy movie with some zombie elements.
So it's almost like the flip-flop we got from Evil Dead 2 to Army of Darkness.
True. That's also true. That's also true.
That's also true.
This is a song of exalted joy because we only came to kick some ass.
Rock the bloody house.
You see why we continue to host even though we fight sometimes?
Rock the bloody house and double tap.
Oh, there you go. What you gonna do
with all that cash? Well, probably
double
Twinkies,
tap.
I guess.
All right, so I think the music is fun. Yeah. There's some interesting music choices.
Yeah, you have Metallica in the opening, which is always amusing.
There's a lot of allusions to Elvis, but they didn't actually pay to use any Elvis music.
Yeah, they even had a cover in the back closing credits. Whatever. And you've of course got Woody Harrelson trying to sing some, but some of the covers that we get from Homeboy.
He's
Mr.
really
Berkeley,
funny though.
He's
so good at being a chooch.
Yeah, he's like, what are you talking about? Of course I wrote that song.
Oh my god! And I'm laughing because it's so silly that you'd think
I would actually be like some kind of cover horn.
Oh god, it's so funny. And then I will say that. Stick around for the mid-credit sequence.
Yes. Definitely.
There, if you saw the TV spot, then you know.
Especially the music they played during that.
Yes. Oh my god, yeah. And that was an in-joke. I leaned to Fuego. I was like, is that this music? And
you're like,
yep. It's like the little bit that you get in the TV spot doesn't even tell you how far this scene goes.
Close.
And it goes so far, and it's so fun to see this happen with this person when you definitely wouldn't have expected it.
With as elusive as he tends to be about cameoing and doing things like this, and I mean, just very selective with his projects.
You're giving away a lot there, but
okay.
I don't know. I think you kind of are because people know that he's real elusive and stuff like that. But
he's in the TV spots though.
I know, that's what I'm saying. All right, we'll just keep it in. Sorry. There you go. We'll keep in that discussion too.
Yeah, you guys heard us. We're like
a little behind the scenes.
Do you think we should do it, Paul? No, man.
All right, we're still not revealing it, but if you know, you know. All right, so that's going to do it, I think, for our review of Zombieland Double Tap. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click that like button and subscribe if you want to make sure you don't miss videos like this going forward. If you guys didn't know, we just launched a campaign. We are making a fan film called Dylan's New Nightmare that is a sequel to Wes Craven's New Nightmare, featuring Nico Hughes himself returning to play Dylan Porter. And that campaign is going strong right now. We just launched yesterday actually, and it's going pretty well. So we want to make sure we bring you guys an all new, all awesome Freddy movie. So I'll put the link in the description box for that. But thank you guys very much for watching. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, I've been Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay
Double tap.
scared.